"I don't feel love for you anymore," she said, while using my money to plan a secret trip to meet her online boyfriend. I smiled, nodded, and gathered 4 months of evidence. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. her world ends. This is going to be long, but I need to get this off my chest before I do something that might change everything. I 28M, work 12-hour days to provide for my wife, 27F and baby, come home to take care of our daughter so she can have her time, and she repays me by having unclear phone calls with some gamer dude across the country. I've been documenting everything for weeks. Reddit, should I destroy her fantasy world or just walk away quietly? My wife Susan and I have been together for 7 years, married for 2. We have a 1-year-old daughter Emma who is literally the light of my life. When Emma was born, Susan wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and I was 100% supportive. I picked up extra hours, started working weekends, whatever it took to make sure they were both comfortable. 3 weeks ago, Susan sits me down after I get home from a 12-hour shift and tells me she needs a break from our marriage, just like that. She says I don't meet her needs and that she's lost herself as a mom. The kicker: she tells me I'm not her safe space anymore. I'm thinking, what the hell? I'm busting my ass 6 days a week so she can stay home with our daughter. I come home exhausted but still take Emma so Susan can have her evening routine, and somehow I'm the problem. But wait, it gets worse. I started noticing things over the past few months. Susan would stay up until 2-3 a.m. gaming with her new friend group. Always had her phone face down, getting notifications constantly. She'd get these big smiles when texting, the kind of smile she used to give me. When I asked who she was talking to, she'd get defensive and say it was just friends who actually understand her. The night after her break speech, my best friend Marcus calls me. He says Susan's been posting on some Discord servers and Facebook groups, talking mad shit about our marriage. Oversharing personal details, calling me emotionally unavailable, the whole thing. Marcus was pissed because he knew how hard I've been working. That's when something clicked. I'm the one paying for her phone, right? So I checked our phone records online. What I found made me physically sick. Susan has been talking to this guy Ryan for HOURS every single day. The call logs go back 3 months. Every single day. I waited until she left her laptop open one night and took screenshots of her Discord messages. Jesus Christ, I wish I hadn't looked. She's sending this guy explicit photos, comparing me to him, talking about how much better he is than me. They're literally getting off together during video calls. When I confronted her about it, she tried to gaslight me. Said Ryan was like a brother and that I was being controlling and insecure. But here's the thing: she refused to cut contact with him. Said she was worried about his mental health and couldn't just abandon him. Are you fucking kidding me? Nothing changed. She kept talking to him openly, right in front of me. I suggested marriage counseling. She said it wouldn't help because she feels no love for me anymore. But she's perfectly fine staying in my house, spending my money, having me watch Emma while she talks to her boyfriend. I decided to work fewer hours to be home more, thinking maybe she was right about me being absent. You know what happened? She just used that extra time to video chat with Ryan while I took care of our daughter. The final straw was last week. I overheard her on the phone telling Ryan that she was ready to make the jump but needed to figure out the logistics. When I asked what she meant, she said they were talking about her visiting him, with my money, to cheat on me, while I watch our kid. Reddit, I've been documenting everything. Screenshots, call logs, voice recordings when she thought I wasn't listening. I have evidence of her telling Ryan that I'm her ex while we're still married and she's still living off my income. I have screenshots of her asking about birth control appointments through MY Insurance. I have recordings of her telling him she's planning to leave me. And the worst part? This guy Ryan KNOWS, she's married. His friends know too. They're all encouraging her to upgrade and calling me a loser behind my back. Susan thinks it's hilarious. I'm done. I've talked to a lawyer about custody and asset protection. I'm building a file with everything. But part of me wants to go nuclear before I serve papers. I want her family to know what kind of person she really is. I want her to face consequences for treating me like a meal ticket while she pursues her online boyfriend. She thinks she's so smart, playing victim while planning her exit strategy. She has no idea I know about all of it. So Reddit, AITA for planning to expose this affair to everyone including her family. Should I tell them what she's been doing behind my back, or should I just quietly file for divorce and move on? She thinks I'll just accept being her financial safety net while she gets her emotional and needs met by some dude across the country. I'm tired of being a doormat. What would you do? Update 1. Holy shit, Reddit. Thank you for helping me see I wasn't losing my mind. Over 2,000 responses, and most of you told me the same thing: I was being gaslit to hell and back. A lot of you asked for more context about how we got here, so let me fill in the blanks. This is probably going to piss me off all over again while I type it. When Susan got pregnant, we sat down and planned everything out. She wanted to be a SAHM, which I fully supported. But it meant I had to hustle harder than I'd ever hustled in my life. I went from working one job to picking up weekend shifts, side gigs, whatever I could find. Some weeks I was pulling 70+ hours just to make sure we had enough saved up for when the baby came. After Emma was born, Susan went through some postpartum stuff. I get it, that shit is real and scary. I tried to be supportive while working my ass off to keep us afloat financially. I'd come home exhausted and still take Emma for 2-3 hours so Susan could shower nap, have me time. I thought I was being a good husband and father. But apparently, working constantly to provide for my family made me emotionally unavailable. According to Susan, me being tired after 12-hour days meant I wasn't present. Me falling asleep on the couch while holding Emma after work meant I didn't prioritize our relationship. Meanwhile, we were barely making ends meet on my income alone. I was stressed as fuck about money, picking up extra shifts when Emma got sick and we had medical bills. But every time I tried to talk to Susan about maybe getting a part-time job once Emma was older, she'd shut down and say I was pressuring her. The irony? All those extra hours I worked so she could stay home comfortably. That's when she started talking to Ryan. While I was breaking my back to support our family, she was online complaining about how neglected she felt. You guys are absolutely right, providing financially is showing love. Working myself into the ground so my wife and daughter can be comfortable is emotional support. The fact that Susan can't see that shows exactly what kind of person she is. Since my last post, I've been documenting everything. I now have 3 months' worth of call logs showing Susan talks to Ryan 4-5 hours every single day. Not exaggerating, I printed out the phone records and highlighted them. Some days it's more. I got more screenshots from her Discord and it's worse than I thought. She's not just emotionally cheating, she's telling Ryan intimate details about our private life, comparing our bodies, rating our performance. She's essentially told this stranger everything private about our marriage. But the part that really fucked me up, I found messages where she's telling Ryan about my inadequacies as a husband and father. Shit I told her in confidence when I was struggling with work stress, she's using as entertainment for her boyfriend and his friends. The entire Discord server knows she's married. They know about Emma. And they're all encouraging her to leave me for Ryan. They call me her provider X and joke about how she's upgrading. Ryan's friends are actively helping them plan Susan's exit strategy. Remember how she said she'd stop talking to him? Yeah, that lasted exactly 2 days. Now she doesn't even try to hide it. She refers to me as her ex to these people while I'm literally in the next room paying all her bills. Last week I came home from work and she was video chatting with Ryan in our bedroom. When I walked in, she barely looked up, just kept giggling at whatever he was saying. I went to check on Emma and found her crying in her crib. Susan had been ignoring her for who knows how long. When I confronted her about neglecting Emma, she said I was being dramatic and that Emma was fine for a few minutes. A few minutes. The baby's diaper was soaked and she was clearly hungry. But it gets worse. Susan has started asking me to work longer hours because she wants more private time to talk to Ryan. She literally asked me to pick up extra weekend shifts so she could have uninterrupted video calls with her boyfriend, using MY money to fund her affair. I've been talking to lawyers about custody and asset protection. Turns out all this evidence I've been gathering, it's gold for a custody case. Documented proof of parental neglect while pursuing an affair. Yeah, judges don't like that. I'm building a comprehensive file. Screenshots, call logs, financial records showing she contributes nothing while spending freely. Voice recordings of her talking about leaving me. Evidence of her asking about birth control through my insurance for when Ryan visits. But here's what really made me snap. I found out she's been telling people I cheated on her. Complete fucking lie. She's trying to rewrite history to justify her affair, telling anyone who will listen that I'm controlling and emotionally abusive. Susan doesn't even pretend to care about our marriage anymore. She makes plans with Ryan right in front of me. She talks about visiting him like it's a given that I'll pay for it and watch Emma while she's gone. Yesterday, she asked me to help her figure out the logistics of moving to Ryan's state with Emma. Not asking permission, asking for help. Like I'm her personal assistant instead of her husband and Emma's father. She genuinely thinks I'm just going to roll over and let her take my daughter across the country to play house with some loser she met online. I've scheduled a family gathering for this weekend. Both sets of parents, her sister, my brother. I told everyone we need to discuss our future as a family. Susan thinks I'm finally ready to accept reality and let her go. I'm going to present everything. Every screenshot, every call log, every piece of evidence. The divorce papers are ready. My lawyer says we have an excellent case for primary custody given the documented neglect. I've already arranged temporary housing with my parents. Susan thinks she's so smart, playing victim while planning to take my daughter and run off with her internet boyfriend. Time to show her that actions have consequences. Next update will be the aftermath. She thinks she can have her cake and eat it too while I foot the bill. Time to wake her up from her fantasy. Update 2. Reddit, the family meeting is tomorrow, and I'm ready to drop a nuclear bomb on Susan's fantasy world. The past month has been insane. She's gotten so comfortable with her affair that she's basically flaunting it in my face. But I've been playing the long game, and she has no clue what's about to hit her. I now have enough documentation. We're talking comprehensive proof spanning 4 months of this affair. Call logs, screenshots of explicit conversations, voice recordings of her telling him she's leaving me, financial records showing she contributes absolutely nothing while spending my money freely. But the newest evidence is what really sealed the deal. I recorded her telling Ryan that I'm just a placeholder until she can figure out how to move to his state with Emma. She literally called me a placeholder, Reddit. Her husband, the father of her child, the guy breaking his back to support her, just a placeholder. I also found browser history showing she's been researching custody laws, trying to figure out if she can take Emma out of state without my permission. She's been planning this exit strategy for months while pretending to work on our marriage. Remember how she used to at least try to hide the affair? Those days are long gone. Last week I came home from work to find her video chatting with Ryan in our living room, Emma crawling around on the floor while Susan ignored her completely. When I walked in, Susan didn't even pause the conversation. Just waved at me like I was the fucking roommate. She started wearing makeup for her video calls with Ryan. Gets dressed up, does her hair, the whole thing. Meanwhile, when I come home from work, she's usually in pajamas looking like she hasn't showered in days. The contrast is not lost on me, but it gets worse. She asked me last week to work extra hours this month because she wants to save up money for a trip. When I asked where she was going, she said Ryan was going to fly her out to visit him. She actually expects me to fund her cheating trip. When I said no, she got pissed and said I was being controlling and that she deserves a break after being stuck at home with the baby. Stuck at home with the baby that I work 12 hours a day to support so she doesn't have to work. The audacity is unreal. I've been using this time to better myself. Started therapy to deal with the emotional abuse Susan's been putting me through. Hit the gym consistently for the first time in years. Cut back on work hours to document her neglect and spend more time with Emma. The therapist helped me realize that I've been so focused on being a provider that I forgot I deserve basic respect and loyalty. Working hard doesn't make me a bad husband, it makes me a good man trying to take care of his family. I've also connected with other single dads online. Hearing their stories made me realize I'm not alone in this. There are a lot of good men out there getting screwed over by selfish partners who want to have their cake and eat it too. 2 weeks ago, I found out Susan has been telling people I cheated on her. My own fucking wife is spreading lies about me to justify her affair. She told her sister that I've been distant and suspicious because I'm hiding something. When her sister asked me about it, I was so confused I didn't even know how to respond. Turns out Susan has been building this narrative that I'm the cheater to make herself feel better about talking to Ryan. But the thing that really pushed me over the edge happened last weekend. I had to work a Saturday shift, mandatory overtime, and when I got home, I found Susan on the phone with Ryan planning their future together. She was talking about which neighborhood would be best for Emma, what kind of job she might get, how excited she was to start fresh with someone who actually appreciates her. All while sitting in the house I pay for, wearing clothes I bought, making plans to take my daughter away from me. When she saw me listening, she didn't even look embarrassed. Just told Ryan she'd call him back and asked what I wanted for dinner like nothing happened. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., both our families will be here for what Susan thinks is a family meeting to discuss our future. I told everyone we need to have an important conversation about our marriage and Emma's well-being. Susan is excited because she thinks I'm finally ready to be mature about our separation. She's been telling Ryan that I'm going to accept her decision and work out custody peacefully. She actually thinks I'm going to roll over and let her take my daughter across the country to play house with some loser she met online. I have 3 manila folders ready, one for each set of parents and one for Susan. Each folder contains printed call logs showing 4+ hours daily with Ryan's screenshots of explicit conversations, evidence of her calling me her ex. While married, browser history of her researching how to take Emma out of state financial records, showing her zero contribution to household photos timestamped during her neglect of Emma. I'm also bringing my laptop with voice recordings queued up. The one where she calls me a placeholder will be particularly devastating for her parents to hear. My divorce lawyer will be on standby to serve papers immediately after the confrontation. I've already moved my important stuff to my parents' house. Emma's overnight bag is packed and in my car. I'm done trying to save this marriage. Susan checked out months ago. She just wanted to keep the financial benefits while exploring her options. I've accepted that the woman I married either never existed or died when she decided another man was worth more than her family. My focus now is protecting Emma and making sure Susan faces consequences for her choices. I want her family to see exactly what kind of person their daughter really is. I want them to know that while I've been working myself to death, she's been planning to destroy our family for some guy she's never even met in person. I'm not doing this for revenge, though I won't lie and say I'm not looking forward to wiping that smug look off her face. I'm doing this because Emma deserves better than growing up thinking this behavior is normal. For the past 2 weeks, I've been pretending to be the defeated husband who's finally ready to accept reality. I've been asking Susan questions about what our separation might look like and how we'd handle custody. She thinks she's won. She has no idea I've been recording these conversations as evidence of her intent to take Emma away from me. She has no idea I know about her research into out-of-state custody laws. She thinks I'm just a passive pushover who'll do whatever she wants. Tomorrow she's going to learn that being a good man doesn't mean being a doormat. After I present the evidence to both families, I'm serving the divorce papers and leaving with Emma. My lawyer says we have an excellent case for primary custody given the documented neglect and her intent to relocate. I'm also planning to post everything on social media before Susan can control the narrative. She's been telling people I'm the problem in our marriage. Time for everyone to see the truth. Ryan has no idea the shitstorm that's about to hit his cozy little fantasy either. His social media is about to get flooded with screenshots of him knowingly pursuing a married woman with a baby. Thank you for giving me the strength to stop being a victim. Now I know better. Good husbands deserve loyalty and respect. Good fathers don't let their daughters grow up thinking it's normal for women to treat men like ATMs while cheating with random guys online. The confrontation is tomorrow at 2 p.m. By tomorrow night, Susan's fantasy world will be completely destroyed and Emma will be safe with someone who actually puts her first. Wish me luck, Reddit. Time to show Susan that actions have consequences. Update 3. Reddit, it's over. Susan's fantasy world has been completely destroyed, and I've got my life back. The confrontation was even more satisfying than I imagined, and the aftermath has been wild. This is going to be long because you guys deserve to know how this all played out. Yesterday, at 2 p.m., both families showed up thinking they were coming to a mature discussion about our marriage. Susan's parents, her sister, my parents, and my brother all sitting in our living room. Susan was actually excited, kept whispering to me about how proud She was that I was finally being reasonable. I had Emma in her high chair so everyone could see her during this. I wanted them to remember what was really at stake here. I started by thanking everyone for coming, then dropped the bomb. Susan has something she needs to tell all of you, but since she won't, I will. The confusion on everyone's faces was priceless. Susan looked annoyed and said, "Jordan, we talked about this. Don't be dramatic." Then I pulled out the folders. For the past 4 months, Susan has been having an emotional affair with a man named Ryan who lives across the country. She talks to him 4-5 hours every day while I work to support our family. She's been planning to leave me and take Emma to live with him. Dead fucking silence. I handed out the folders and watched everyone's faces change as they looked at the evidence. Susan's mom started crying when she saw the explicit messages. Her dad's face went white when he read the financial records showing Susan contributes nothing. But the real kicker was when I played the voice recording of Susan calling me a placeholder and talking about taking Emma away. At first, Susan tried to deny everything. "That's taken out of context. You don't understand our conversations. Jordan's been emotionally unavailable." But the evidence was overwhelming. Her own words, her own voice, her own messages. Then she switched to blaming me. "You work all the time, you never talk to me." I felt neglected. Her sister just stared at her and said, "Susan, you told us Jordan was cheating. You've been lying to us for months." That's when Susan completely lost it. Started screaming about how I violated her privacy and set her up. Said Ryan was the only person who actually understood her, and that I was controlling for not wanting her to have friends. Her own mother looked disgusted. "Friends don't send pictures like this, Susan. Friends don't plan to break up families." The final nail was when I showed them Susan's browser history researching custody laws and how to move out of state with Emma. Her father just shook his head and said, "How could you do this to your own daughter?" I served the divorce papers right there in front of everyone. Susan tried to grab them and tear them up, but my brother caught her hand. She was completely hysterical at this point. Susan's parents were devastated. Her mom kept apologizing to me and saying she had no idea. Her dad pulled me aside and said they'd support me and Emma in any way they could. Even her sister said she was disgusted by Susan's behavior. My parents immediately offered to help with childcare during the transition. My mom was already making plans for Emma's room at their house. Within an hour, I had packed Emma's things and left for my parents' house. Susan was still screaming when we walked out, demanding that I can't just take her daughter. Her daughter. Not our daughter. Her daughter. Here's the beautiful part: while Susan was having her meltdown with our families, I posted everything on social media. Screenshots, call logs, the whole thing. Tagged mutual friends so everyone would see it. Guess what happened to Ryan when all this became public? He blocked Susan on everything and disappeared. Turns out he was just having fun with a married woman and had zero interest in dealing with real-world consequences. Susan tried calling him during her breakdown, and it went straight to voicemail. She tried messaging him, and her messages wouldn't deliver. This guy she threw away her family for ghosted her the second things got real. When Susan realized Ryan had bylaid, she completely fell apart. Started calling me begging to work things out, and saying she made a mistake. Too fucking late. The social media post exploded. Friends we hadn't talked to in years were reaching out to support me. Susan's affair partner's friends who had been encouraging her went radio silent when they realized everyone knew what they'd been doing. Susan lost most of her friend group overnight. Turns out, when people see the actual evidence instead of just hearing her victim narrative, they don't have much sympathy for cheaters. Her online gaming friends also abandoned her. I guess supporting someone's affair is fun until there are real consequences and crying children involved. The best part: Ryan's ex-girlfriend found my post and reached out to thank me. Turns out he had been telling Susan he was single, but he'd actually been stringing along multiple women online. Susan wasn't special, she was just another mark. Susan had to move back in with her parents because she can't afford to live alone. She got a job at Target for the first time in years and is struggling hard with the reality of actually working. The custody hearing went exactly as my lawyer predicted. Susan got supervised visitation only because of the documented neglect during her affair. The judge was not impressed with her priorities. She's living in her childhood bedroom, working retail, and only sees Emma a few hours a week under supervision. Meanwhile, Ryan won't even respond to her messages begging him to give her another chance. I went back to my normal work schedule with my parents helping with childcare. It's amazing how much easier life is when you're not constantly stressed about what your wife is doing behind your back. I kept going to therapy and the gym. Lost 30 pounds, built some actual confidence for the first time in years. Started remembering what it felt like to be valued and respected. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I started dating again. Met an amazing woman named Lisa who's also a single parent. She actually appreciates the fact that I work hard to provide for my daughter. Imagine that. Lisa and I have been together for 8 months now, and Emma loves her. It's incredible being with someone who sees my dedication to my daughter as a positive instead of a burden. Last month, Susan showed up at my parents' house crying, begging me to take her back. Said she realized she made the biggest mistake of her life and wanted to try again for Emma's sake. I literally laughed in her face, told her I was happy with Lisa and that Emma was thriving without her drama. Susan tried to argue that we owed it to Emma to work on our marriage. I reminded her that she threw away our marriage for a guy who blocked her the second things got real. That she chose a stranger over her own daughter's well-being. That ship had sailed. She left crying and I haven't heard from her since. Being a provider isn't a character flaw, it's a sign of love and commitment. Working hard to support your family is honorable, not something to be ashamed of. You can't love someone into appreciating you. If someone doesn't value your efforts and sacrifices, that's a them problem, not a you problem. Documentation is everything. If I hadn't gathered evidence, Susan would have successfully painted me as the villain while she played victim. Children deserve to see healthy relationships. Emma is better off with one parent who puts her first than two parents where one is actively destroying the family. To any man going through something similar, document everything, know your worth, and remember that you deserve loyalty from your partner. Don't let anyone convince you that working hard makes you a bad husband. The exposure was satisfying, but finding my self-respect was everything. Perfect ending? I think so. Thanks for the journey, Reddit. Sometimes the good guys do win.